what you focus on.
Think of it this way, but I definitely wanted to lay it down this way so people can kind of have an idea how, we work differently, men and women, we respond differently. So I wanted to put this into concept, right? So I was saying to myself, sometimes when a woman is home and she's mostly taking care of the home, right? She's cooking, she's cleaning, she's doing her laundry, she's doing everything in the house. Even the animals want her attention. So she got the fur babies and, her husband and her kids, right? And then she's like, I do all this stuff in the house and nobody helps me. And she feels overwhelmed. And she's telling her spouse, like, I need you to help me. But she's telling that person, but that person's not really receiving on what she's saying. She's like, yo, I'm exhausted. I'm tired, right? And in that sense, female is telling the man, like, I need your help. I need your support. Some guys don't get it. Some guys do. But when she's at that point telling you she needs support, that's what support looks like for her, right? Now I'm going to kick it up a notch. So somebody mentioned this. Again, social media, I love it. And it was a guy, he was like, it would be nice if my woman would just tell me the small things that she appreciate me, that, that I went outside and, did the grass and, or appreciate me that I did the little things, right? And I hear a lot of women say, why should I still praise you for the little things that you do, that you're supposed to do? But it kind of goes back to, you're at the house and you're not getting that support. That's what support looks like for him. And that's what support looks like for women. And I had to say that because that's a common thing, but I needed people to grasp and understand what it looks like for a man, what it looks like for a woman. And like you said, instead of trying to change stuff, won't you listen to what the person's really telling you about themselves so you can adapt?
Right. And again, and that goes back to having the right time to say it, to see if you're upset and angry as the mother and you're stressed and everything, and he walks through the door from work and you jump on him, use this as an example, and you jump, I need help with this. You're going to catch the wrong person at that point, because he's like, I just walked through the door. I worked all day. Right. Work is different. It looks different for each person, but he was at work all day. He wasn't gambling. He wasn't at the strip club. He wasn't drinking. He was at work, and he walks through the door and he catches that. And then the flip side is understanding as a man, understanding that, hey, when she is that way, sometimes you got to kind of, and I've done it, I bit the bullet and, did whatever needed to be done. But then I would come back and have a conversation about it later on, because usually, and this is what I tell people, stop waiting until the volcano is ready to erupt to say something. Yeah. Do something when the temperature begins to go up 1 degree, not 10, 20, 30. As soon as it goes up 1 degree, have a conversation. Because if you said something earlier, if you don't feel like you can talk to your spouse, your partner, who you're with in a relationship, you need to do some soul searching. And that's a conversation then you need to have with them. Hey, I don't feel like I'm safe enough you're safe enough for me to talk to, or I don't feel you're vulnerable, and that's vice versa, because there are a lot of men who feel like, when they say something, the words that they use are weaponized back to them, right. Or they're not heard, or they're just like, well, you're a man, you just deal with it, type of mentality. So they choose not to say nothing. So you got both sides, unfortunately, in a stuck situation. Instead of, like you said, it takes the maturity, it takes the logic, it takes all the stuff to go through and say, I got to talk to my spouse. I'm having an issue with this. I'm having an issue with that. It may not even be the spouse that you're having an issue with. You're just having an issue with you're dealing with. And that's what they're supposed to be there. That's what their partner's supposed to be there. You're in a partnership. You're not in a sponsorship. You're in a partnership. And I think a lot of people miss that part of it. But that, like, again, that's still, like I said, goes back to being selfless consistently.
I like what you said. I like you said that you're in a relationship, not a sponsorship. Go deeper with that, Carl.
Well, I mean, there's some people that want to be sponsored. There are, and it goes on both sides. So for men, there are some men who who get into a sponsorship because they're looking for somebody who's going to take care of them, who may baby them. And again, a lot of these are mama boys. They're unfortunately, their mothers didn't allow enough men in their lives. Their mothers, babied them and still are babying them and interfering in some of their relationships. It's unfortunate. I'm just dealing with the me, I'm a data person, so I'm gonna back it up with statistics and numbers and things. But this is what they're dealing with. So they're looking for a wife that will sponsor them and become basically his wife mom and do all these different things, is what some of these guys go through. And unfortunately, again, a lot of those red flags are missed on that side. Then the flip side, you have a lot of women who want a sponsorship from a man. They want him to pay for everything. They want him to do everything. They want him to be there. And then these people, and again, unfortunately, a lot of times if he hits hard times and finances get hit, they're out the street or they're looking for a side dude that's willing to throw some money at him, and they think, oh, he's better than you. So they want that sponsorship type of thing, and they said there's some people, they want the wedding, they don't want the marriage. And it's, I always tell people, throw the vows away. I'm at a point where people, what for better or for worse. And I'm like, what is for worse? Everybody's for worse is different. And I said, are you going to get to your Job moment and turn your back on God, or are you going to walk through your Job moment and walk through and end up with double for what you lost or what you had? Just like I said, if you wait till the end of a situation to explain why you're unhappy or you're angry or you're mad, you're frustrated in these situations where if you talked about it in the beginning, you probably could have fixed it. But now if the person's saying, well, I'll work on it, and you say, great, but then you don't give them the grace and time to fix it. But it took 3 or 10 years to get to where you're at, and you want it changed in 3 days. That doesn't work that way. But because there was zero communication in the beginning, now we're communicating in the end. It takes time to rebuild that, So that's why I tell people, throw the vows away. Just say, hey, I'm gonna walk away when I'm unhappy. I'm gonna walk away when you ain't got no more money. I'm gonna walk away when I'm not getting enough sex at home. I'm gonna walk away, and death do us until, I'm with you till this part happens, and then I'm done, And I always tell people, when I talk divorce, it's not because I'm a bitter divorcee. I look at the numbers and statistics, and there's a lot of marriages that could have been saved. People just chose not to want to do the work, right. and that takes accountability. That takes accountability to do the work. But if you're in an abusive situation, and I mean flat out abusive, physical abusiveness, you got somebody who's like literally a habitual adulterer and it's not going to stop. You got to do what you got to do. Absolutely. Other things, we need to really take a look and say why, because I'm going to get in trouble saying this, and I'm sure you get some feedback from some of your viewers and stuff. But I tell people, how is this, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to put a wedge between men and women, Black women file for almost 90% of divorces in the Black community. And I asked this question and I've never got an answer. And I said, how is this the same man that you said God, you prayed for, and you said God told you to marry, and now you're saying God told you to divorce him? And I'm like, where are we losing out on things? And we all make mistakes, and God can forgive us through everything. And we got to learn, and we got to understand, when do we make a shift in this war against one another and understand that we are better together than apart? And that's why God is putting us together. God says in His word, man is not supposed to be alone.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're doing. We're separating through this war and keeping ourselves alive, alone, right. Which is the enemy bringing this division and discourse, And so it's just amazing, like I said. But just think, most of this stuff could have been prevented by one conversation in the beginning.
Right. Like you said in the beginning, but then it goes back to what I stated too, people not exercising, or even like you said, if you feel like you can't open up, if you can't talk, sometimes, it's not even that person is a safe space, is that the person on the end that wants to say something, because they don't know what healthy looks like, or maybe they came from a past where, they dealt with things differently. So they're so used to just staying quiet in certain situations, but people not realizing unconsciously those bad habits that you have, they're going to interfere in your relationship. That's why I said from the beginning, go to therapy, and work on you, because if you don't, then you're going to keep having like the reoccur patterns in the relationship.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And just because I had shared with you before, the numbers go up when you on a second marriage. It's like 67% of people getting a second marriage end up divorce. And then it's almost 80% on a third marriage end up divorce. And you would think you would learn.
Right.
So there's a problem. There's something missing there that we're not learning from. A loss should always be a lesson, not a loss. The only time you lose somebody is if they go to the grave. Anything else should be a lesson. And because anything else could be replaced. A car can be replaced. It's not a loss. A house can be replaced. It's not a loss. Right. So it should be a lesson. Hey, I didn't need that car. Maybe that house is what God really wanted me to have. I mean, whatever the case may be, we can learn from it. And I think that's one of the things. But that goes back to self-awareness, accountability, those things there that we're able to learn from. Literally, the first thing I did as I was going through my separation was take a look in the mirror at myself and say, what could I have done to be a better husband and a better father? And try and look at those things. That's what I did. Right. I wasn't doing what was being done in the street, but with that on the other side, but I sat there and I said, okay, I can't control that from that person, but for me, what can I have done different? What did I miss in a conversation? I spent 4 months doing that, journaling, taking that kind of time and looking in the mirror and even watch this. I was even the one to apologize, even though I wasn't the one breaking my vows. And I apologized for the things that I thought I could have done better. I wrote a handwritten note and apologized. So for me, it was about accountability, but it's allowed me to be the person I am today. So when that time comes for me to get married again, if it's in the cards, I will be a better husband than I was before, and an even better father than I already am. My boys stayed with me the whole time. I kept them. I had primary custody, so so I raised them. So they got to watch, Dad go through, from go to rock bottom and bounce all the way back up. And that's helped them to see things. But even things I do, I push them. Like you said, therapy. These different. My kids, I have them in therapy. They got their own coach. Dad doesn't coach them. I coach them in sports, but I'm not coaching them in their life because I want them to have somebody else to bounce things off of. But It's like I said, you got to break the cycle. You got to be willing to break these different things. And a lot of people just don't want to do that. And again, that's why I said we have this war that's going on. Right. That if we ever just stop fighting, we would realize we're all trying to accomplish the same thing.
Absolutely. You said something that really just dawned on me not too long ago. The sharing your whole story. When I think about that, a lot of the times you hear women share their story, and how they were broken and how they bounced back, and then how their kids got to see it. But I'm able to sit here and say, I love it that from a male perspective, you can speak a lot about that, because I don't think too many men hear that. They need to hear this. They need to see that a man, like it was just like a woman. She lost a lot or whatever, and then she gained herself back, and then her kids. You always hear about the single mom with the kids. You don't really hear too much about the single dad with the kids.
No, and here's the reason why it stinks. And I'm just going to be blunt as I can with it. If a father keeps the kids and he has the kids, that's what he's supposed to do. And if he needs assistance, child support, he's a bum because he can't take care of his kids without assistance.
Mm.
If he, and again, so if he's taking care of the kids, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're a father. You know, if he goes through and he bounces back, well, you're a man. Y'all are strong. Y'all supposed to bounce back. You know, y'all supposed to deal. And so this is why you don't hear a lot of men talk about it. It's happening more now. And I think that's why people think there's a bigger divide when it really isn't. It's just more men are becoming more outspoken. And I think it's caught a lot of women off guard, and they're speaking, hey, this is what we're going through. This is what we're dealing with. This is just, you know, because I think even for me growing up, and probably you looking at it growing up, it always was like, it's the man's fault, you know? So when you hear most people, when they talk about a marriage, when a marriage is good, it's because of the wife. But when the marriage fails, well, what did the husband do? And it's just the way society clicks, you know. It's the narrative, but
the double standard.
Yeah, it is a double standard. But see, you know, the world is enjoying it. You know, commercialism is enjoying it because they can sell this. You know, even the court systems. You know, the first thing they do is they say, okay, well, we're going to give the kids to the mother. You know, even if the mother is not the person to have the child, they're going to give the child to the mother. Then they hit the man for the child support. And so now most men, when they go through that, they're working 2 jobs. Now they can't see their kids as much. Now the kids are suffering. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different dynamics. And again, everybody's situation is different, but I'm speaking from
the show.
Yes, you know, because I tell people the state gets paid for child support, for collecting child support. The state makes money for collecting child support from the federal government. They're reimbursed. I tell people, look it up. So it's better for them to charge to give the mother the children, because they feel in most cases the man has the money. But then if he doesn't, he goes to jail. Now he's got a record. Now he loses his job. It's so much so the divide is put in place that I think a lot of people are not really even paying attention to, and seeing how the system is not wanting families together, especially in our culture.
Absolutely. I agree with you 110%. But like you said, the more we come into awareness, the more we can educate others. You know, hopefully the goal is for you to receive what we're saying and you put it into practice, so we can continue to have generations and generations, and not even just that, just healthy generations, you know, because that's what it's all about. Like, you know, it's all about character at the end of the day. Doesn't matter how much zeros are in your bank account, character goes over that. Oh, you know, all the way. So yeah. So I know, Carl, we done spoke a mouthful. Before we leave, is there anything else that you want to share with the audience?
I just, you know, my thing is, I posted something the other day. You know, do the work before you get in a relationship. I hear so many people talk about, well, they don't make me happy. I'm not happy. It is not your partner's responsibility to make you happy at all. They should add to your happiness, but they should never have the power to take it away. They could disappoint you, different things, but to take away from your happiness, you should be at 100 all the time. You've got to have that work done. You got to know who you are. You know, I tell people a lot of times, I lost myself in my marriage because I spent time trying to make another individual happy, and, you know, and being a father, making sure my kids were happy, and I never focused on myself. And that wasn't good. So focus on yourself. If you're not married, you're not in a relationship, or even if you are, really fine tune yourself. And again, that doesn't mean, I mean, there's an actress out there that filed for divorce, that's running around and posting a bunch of videos and stuff. And I won't say any names. I'm not going to get hit with a defamation lawsuit, but she's not happy. And everybody's saying how happiness looks on her, and she is not happy. Trust me. I've been doing this long enough, and I've got enough therapists, female therapists, backing up even a lot of stuff. But but she broke up her marriage because she wasn't happy really with herself. And she's even used those words, and that's sad. So make sure you're happy with you and who you are, and you truly know who you are. And then you'll attract what you need, and that person can be there, and that person will add to you. But you're going to have bad days. That's going to happen. But to sit there and say you're just unhappy, I'm going to walk away, and just, you know, how do you go be happy destroying somebody else?
I understand what you say, but I also say too, that person is saying I'm not happy, but then sometimes, yes, it's you have to bring that out yourself first. But at the same time too, are you saying that you're not happy with how that person is, contributing to the relationship? It's like be specific, what I'm trying to say? So
That's the
sometimes
difference.
often translate, there's a lot, what I'm saying? There's a lot to unsurface sometimes, but I
Right.
get what you're saying. But it's like, again, the articulation, sometimes it doesn't flow out the way we want it to when we're trying to tell the person what the problem is. Or if we're constantly speaking and there's no change, then, this is when people get tired. And trust me, I get it. I've been
No,
there.
that's different. Yeah, that's a whole different. Yeah, that's a
part
different ball.
4 and 5.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. But when I'm just talking about people who just say, "Oh, I'm no longer happy with the relationship,"
Right.
But you can't. You said it best. When you say I'm not happy, you need to be able to articulate why at that point in time, and not just I'm not happy, I'm out, because the other person's sitting there looking like, I just asked you the other day, you good? You said, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So yes, yeah. But the other part, if you're constantly telling somebody to work on something and they're not doing it, I mean, that's a whole nother show, a whole nother dealing on stuff. Yeah, that's the different ball game.
Absolutely. So, but Carl, I thank you so much for bringing the fire that you have brought. I hope this helps somebody tonight. Share this with somebody else so they can share it and get the word out, because this is needed. We know if we're trying to say we want better generations to come forth and we want better quality people in our family, it starts with us, and then we want to also be an example for our kids. I know your kids see everything. You are not perfect, but at least if they see that, my mom and my dad made the attempt, that's all that matters. You're leaving those little nuggets on them. So everyone, I thank you for joining me today. Continue to follow us here at the Lady K Chat Podcast. You can follow us here on Instagram, and you can also follow us on YouTube. And we will see you next week at 6 p.m. And have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
And I'm sorry, Carl, tell the people where they can find you at.
They can IG and Facebook. They can find me at Carl the Coach. And then we also have a healthy relationship group called Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters that you can find on Facebook and request to join that group.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carl, and everyone. Have a great night.
Lady K.